Touchdown, Tiger! The shot is up. It's a 3-ball for the Tigers.
My first encounter with Gary Locke was in the late 80s, and Chuck Kane, the president at the time, was real big on leadership development and a very strong proponent of that. And I was sitting in a session, and it was by Gary Locke, and he was doing a presentation on how he built the Marching Tigers from the 20 folks that showed up the first week of his practice. And he went through this entire session and PowerPoint presentation, and I looked over teary-eyed at Jim Cross, who was sitting next to me, and he was teary-eyed also. And I knew for the first time I met an amazing coach and one of the greatest motivators I've ever met in my life, and that was Gary Locke. A couple of years later, Sheila joined the faculty as a full-time faculty member, and to me, that's when the dynasty began.
I graduated from high school in 1987. So if you do the timeline of that, and the band was first founded in '84 kind of thing. By the time I was a senior in high school, the band was pretty much rolling already. So you would see, at the time when I was in high school, there was actually a college division of competition. Cal State Northridge, Riverside City College, Pierce College, El Camino College, all had marching bands. So we as high school band kids would go to these competitions, and RCC would always be the closing act. And from day one, it was pretty evident who was on top of the game there.
I remember when he was brought into North High School and he developed the North High School Blue Star Regiment Band. It actually became very city famous because we'd never had a good marching band in the city before. And they marched in the Macy's parade, and it was absolutely amazing what he did with these high school kids. And then the community mourned when he left North High School and came to RCC. Dr. Kane brought him here, and I do remember that time because Dr. Kane wanted a marching band. And he talked to Gary about having the visible classroom. And I'll never forget those words. And the idea was this visible classroom would be on the football field to start. And then the visible classroom became all of the city of Riverside because they marched in all the Riverside parades. And then the visible classroom became Pasadena and the Rose Bowl. And then the visible classroom became the Disneylands all over the world, and Cheers. And then became the Hollywood Band. They became the United States Band representing the United States, not just Riverside because of where they were marching, and then they became the best marching band in the world.
I had the honor of traveling with the marching band to Rome and Italy and London and Spain. And they organized over 200 individuals from our college and high school. And I don't know how they do it, but they did it with grace and poise, and the organization was unbelievable. But I recall an incident where I'm sitting in Columbus Square in Spain, and a gentleman walks up while the band's performing to me and said, "Are you with the band?" Because we had our matching jackets, and with pride I was beaming, yes, of course. And he said, "Well, they're not only fabulous performing," he said, "but they're real ambassadors for the United States." And this was right after the train station had been bombed, and so there was a lot of animosity towards Americans in Spain at that time. And I kind of thought about that, and I thought, he was talking about how we are showing the people, the citizens of other countries, that there's a different America. And when I started thinking about it, when you talk about the band being world-renowned, but they really were ambassadors for the college and the community and the United States as a whole. So I think the people they've touched throughout their entire career is enormous.
I think it is absolutely phenomenal. They are so deserving. Sometimes our Hall of Fame is recognizing the straight athletics, not understanding what this visible classroom of Gary's and Sheila's has done. They have promoted athletics. They have provided the music, the cheering, and so on for all of our sports teams. They have represented us to help bring people also to our football games, for example, when they perform at halftime, the enthusiasm that they can build. And so I am just thrilled that they are being recognized, that their history with our institution will never be forgotten.